You mentioned that there are numerous studies on the impact of minimum wage. Back in 2008, in October, the Cornell University Department of Policy Analysis and Management did a comprehensive study of the empirical impact of a minimum wage increase in New York State. And based on that report, they projected that an increase to $8.25 an hour would result in 28,990 lost jobs, which they projected would disproportionately impact on the poor.
What year was that, by the way?
That was in 2008, October 2008. It was by the Cornell Department of Policy Analysis and Management. And I would take from your comments that your technical staff have not analyzed this study at this point?
They have pointed out other studies to me that show just the opposite.
Well, I'm aware of the Kruger and the Card study, which was a seminal study that indicated that a minimum wage increase might increase employment in the restaurant industry. That was back in '94. But since then, there have been about at least 90 other studies on it, and those studies were summarized by a comprehensive literature review by Newmark and Washler in 2007, and they concluded that the evidence was overwhelming that the least skilled workers most likely to be affected by a minimum wage increase experience the strongest disemployment effect. I'd be very interested in your analysis of the Cornell study as well as the Newmark and Washler studies. And I don't expect you to engage in an economic empirical discussion at a budget hearing, but there are obviously a lot of studies on this issue.
But Mr. Goodell, would you agree with me that these individuals that get these increase in salaries keep the money within their communities, and that it has a direct impact on employment in their communities because there's greater economic activity in their communities?
Absolutely. The people who keep their jobs and keep their hours and have a higher income tend to be the people who spend the largest percentage of their income. They're not people who are putting the money under the couch or under the mattress because they don't have it. No question. The analysis that I wrestle with is how much entry-level positions we may lose to other states that don't raise their minimum wage, and whether or not the loss of employment is offset by the increase in income, because that defines our state GDP, if you will. And so that's the analysis I'm wrestling with. And in my county, we have a call center. And in fact, the data shows that these types of call centers are often large employers of relatively low-skilled minimum wage positions. And my concern, obviously, is that a call center can easily move. And, you know, my county, I have Pennsylvania on two sides of me.
And remember, Mr. Goodell, that in the region, we have one of the lowest, we have one of the lowest minimum wages in the region. So I don't see a business leaving New York to move to Connecticut, where the minimum wage may be higher.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. Connecticut is higher than us. I think New Jersey is higher. My county is bordered by Pennsylvania, and I'm only 2 hours from Cleveland, Ohio. So my region is in a very different market than New York City or downstate. And with that in mind, do you think it makes sense for the state to consider a regional minimum wage that reflects the fact that we have different regions within the state?
I would answer that New York State, even when it comes to minimum wage, should be competitive in the region. And right now, our minimum wage is below the region. So
well, I mean, the regions are
it's not something we should be very proud of, to have a minimum wage lower than the other states in the region.
Well, Pennsylvania is 7.25, Ohio is 7.25. I'm closer to Cleveland, Ohio than I am Rochester, New York. So my region may be a little different than other parts of the region. So my question is, if Western New York, which is bounded by Pennsylvania, or Ohio, just a little bit further out, if that regional wage is 7.25, should we have a different regional wage than, say, downstate New York or Long Island, which is bordered by Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New Jersey?
So you're saying have various minimum wages throughout the state?
Sure. I mean, we do it, as you know, in a number of other areas, whether it's prevailing wages, those are regional, shelter allowances and social services. We have a number of homestead exemptions. We have dozens of different regionals, recognizing that the state is a large, diverse state. And in fact, the Labor Department itself maintains several regional
I'd go back to
differences.
my comments that we are a state, and in some areas, our state laws should prevail. We have a prevailing wage in New York State. It may not be the same throughout the state, but we do have a prevailing wage law. So the prevailing wage law prevails. So I would argue that way.
Thank you.